Okay, let's talk about Man's Search for Meaning, page 1 through 30. So let me explain the background knowledge of the book. So this book was published in 1946 and it was written by a guy named Viktor Frankl. And he's a Jewish psychiatrist, 정신과 의사. And he was arrested during World War II by Nazi soldiers and he was sent to the infamous concentration camp, Auschwitz, and then he was transported from this camp to another camp, and then he experienced extremities of human survival. So this was a time when the Nazis were killing Jewish people. They were carrying out the most horrific genocides, mass killings in human history. So during this time, 6 million Jews were systematically killed. So Viktor Frankl survived this unimaginable suffering, and then after he was liberated, he developed his theory of logotherapy. He actually developed this in the middle of this suffering within the prison. The logotherapy means that if you find meaning in life, that can be the motivational force in your life, even in the midst of suffering. So before imprisonment, Franco was already a prestigious psychiatrist in the Vienna medical community. His work on depression and suicide prevention was pretty well known. And in 1942, in the middle of World War II, he and his family were arrested and sent to Auschwitz, and they were all separated in different camps. And in his life at the camp, he spent 3 years in many various camps. And there are a lot of people who committed suicide. Committing suicide was pretty easy. They could just run to the barbed wire, electric wire, and then they could easily end their life. But then the people who survive are the ones with really strong willpower. And Franco, I guess he had more willpower than other people, considering that he even wrote a book within the extreme situations. So he developed this theory that those who found a sense of purpose or sense of meaning in these dire circumstances, they were more likely to survive. So in 1945, the Allied forces won the war and he was finally liberated. So after the war, he started his academic career again, and then he became a professor of psychiatry at University of Vienna. And he emphasized the importance of meaning in our lives. So even if you have the most painful experiences, those could be transformed into finding a sense of purpose. So this book was critically acclaimed and very well received by the public as well. So it sold 16 million copies worldwide. So Dr. Frankl, he died in 1997 and then he left behind a legacy of resilience and hope to us. So I posed you two questions of discussion. The first one, so there is a part that where Dr. Frankl describes the people who had the best conscience didn't had a tendency not to survive to the end, and then the people who clung to their survival instinct, they tended to survive longer and to the last point of liberation. So there is this conflict between maintaining one's moral principles and then our basic instinct to survive. So the people who survive by doing morally reprehensible actions, betrayal, theft, and brutality, they just fought for their existence just relentlessly and they gave up their scruples. And then the best people with pure conscience, they just clung to their ethical principles and they did not, many of them did not survive the camps. So there is this profound question about the essence of true humanity. Is true humanity defined by clinging to one's conscience and moral principles and considering other people, even even by sacrificing your own life, or does true humanity lie in your instinct to save your own life and then preserve your own existence? Um, I believe there is no clear-cut answer to that. I think true humanity lies in both dimensions. If you maintain a subtle balance between the two, considering other people and also trying to preserve yourself at your best efforts, somewhere between the two efforts, the true humanity lies. So, uh, in my personal opinion, I think it's important to consider other people, and then it's important to cling to your ethical principles. It's also very important to have the willpower to preserve your own life. But I think that if you make your best efforts to preserve your life while not harming others, while not bringing down other people, I think that's the best humanity that we can find in each of our cases. So, the book teaches us about how adaptable humans can be. So, in extreme situations, they cannot even brush their teeth and they cannot even take their vitamins. But then they have healthy gums. They really have healthy teeth, and then their skin was really healthy. And a person who gets disturbed a lot while he's sleeping, a person who's really sensitive when he's sleeping, so we call that kind of person a light sleeper. He became really accustomed to sleeping through snoring of other people. So it tells us how we can adapt really well, and our bodies and minds are so flexible to situations. So the degree of discomfort that we can endure is not really fixed, but the degree of discomfort can be expanded remarkably depending on the situation and necessity. So people who are very sensitive, when they're sent to the army and spend a couple of years there, they have this they learn this endurance. They get this endurance to go through anything, go through any trouble. So if you personally set your boundary, if you have personally set your boundary or level of discomfort that you can endure, please question that and try to push that boundary a little bit farther and farther, and you'll be surprised by how much you can endure and how much you can do. So you are a student, and then you would think that there's a level of load that you can handle. Well, I can study only 5 or 6 hours a day. I can endure only up to this extent, but then try to push the boundary a little by little. I think you'll be surprised how much you can handle, how much pressure you can fight against. So I recommend you to do that. Okay, so that's pretty much it for today. Thank you for watching.